Boys.
You ever started one of these off before?
I forgot how to start things off. Episode 67.
Yeah.
We're approaching some big numbers in terms of episode numbers and things like that. We just hit over 100 subs on YouTube. So if you have a second right now, if you've enjoyed our content in the past, you're going to enjoy this video. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, see what we have coming. Follow us on Twitter, any other platform that you consume podcasts on. We're on there, so give us a follow.
Yeah, join the Post 90 Club, and I guess the community, and really the NYCFC community, wherever you can find it, whether that's Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or YouTube. There's a ton of great people within the community aside from just us, but I would like to think that we've done at least a decent job. We deserve an attaboy for what we've contributed, I think, over the course of the past. I feel like we're approaching 3 whenever we make it to, I want to say July. So it's cool to hit a little milestone like that, although it's not much. It's, obviously something we appreciate from everybody that listens. So thank you guys. And we'll keep churning out content and as we come up with bigger and brighter ideas, providing you guys with stuff as we can, really. Yeah,
and if you're new to the community, if this is your first, kind of insider intro to the NYCFC community, this is a great show and Twitter account to follow to get into everything else. You'll get into the weeds if you follow us. Because you're going to find all of the guys that we follow and interact with that are great members of the community, like Juan Carlos, the outfield, all of those guys.
Blue City Radio,
both mics.
We have a great episode with them on their pod. Actually, it's the first and the only pod so far that we've been invited to record for NYCFC, which was obviously a super cool thing, especially from 2 guys that, have been in the community and recording something for
so long.
I would say since
guys
the
that we respect
inception of the club
so much. And so, this is a great show, like I said, to get into everything else NYCFC. We talk everything from, our just initial reactions to, our in-depth takes or what we think are in-depth at that time. So give us a follow if you can. If we have to earn it. Maybe in 5 minutes you can sub. Yeah,
and this is coming off the back of a 1-0 win at Minnesota. NYCFC, I now believe, in all competitions is on an 11-game unbeaten run. I know when we talk
almost unscored on.
Yeah, almost. I know in the month of May unscored on. I believe
in the league.
In league, that's correct. Yeah. It's actually kind of crazy. The only team that was able to score on us in the month of May through our 7 games was Rochester, New York.
Yep.
So shout out Jamie Vardy's boys, I guess, because they were able to get it done in a way that 6 other MLS clubs could not. And there were some big hitters in that group, whether it's Minnesota or New England. And then, I'm not going to lie, a few slouches around the league had to roll through Citi Field or Yankee Stadium this month and catch an L after they wanted to talk about our banner or whatever. But that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, all of those clean sheets, all done at home, basically. Which one do you give more credit to, the home field advantage or the defense? Do you think we've got it together at this point, or you think it's more just
that's
kind
such
of
a dangerous question to answer, because I don't want to say yes, but I feel like we have it together right now. Obviously, to have all of those clean sheets and to be unbeaten for as long as you can, you have to be, really performing at all 3 levels of the field. And I think, like you just said, our defense and Sean leading them back there, more so in this Minnesota game than we've seen, because he hasn't had to be tested too much in those clean sheets.
Not like last game.
Not like against Minnesota. But those boys in the back have really stepped up. I would start with saying Callens, who by far, we've tweeted it and I'll tweet it until my fingers don't work anymore, that he is the best center back in the MLS by far.
He's still has 0 inform cards on FIFA. Still just a base silver 71 with 49 pace.
And I don't play FIFA, but I have a sick feeling he's gonna get a team of the season snub.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to write to the. I may for the first time use the podcast account for my own good.
Yeah,
probably tweeting them,
right,
telling them that they need to do it.
Yeah.
If not, drop the player card into my account.
Yeah. So that will be annoying when it ultimately happens. But it's obviously deserved. He just got another team of the week. I believe it's in back-to-back weeks now. And I think Thiago Martins is not far behind him in terms of form right now.
So you're Thiago Martins truther at this moment.
Yeah, I was a denier for sure. Who wasn't?
I think, you can't have us being in good defensive form and him not necessarily being in great form, because he it has been night and day since the early parts of his career with us, but he still has that mistake in him, or the wrong decision in a 1v1 that Callens has to come and make up for, specifically in that the last game where he was in a one-on-one with, I believe, their number 7. I don't know his name. Mm-hmm. And he just stood there instead of stepping. I just don't like that part of his game, the timidness. I like him to be more aggressive, but at the end of the day, clean sheets are clean sheets, wins are wins, and he's contributing to them at a high level. So
yeah, I think an interesting question to maybe ask Callens if he was, if we were to get him in a press conference maybe, and then also somehow nut up enough to ask the man a question.
I feel like it'd be easier to talk to him on the street than it would be to ask him a question in a presser. Like, I would 100%.
It does seem a lot more official.
Without a doubt, walk up to him and be like, "Yo, you're the greatest ever."
Yeah.
But just the idea of him being behind the podium it's different.
And you want to say something, you want to ask something smart.
Then you're like, are these people next to me gonna clown me if I say something stupid?
Yeah.
Like they're like taking it way more seriously than me.
Yeah. But I think an interesting question would be, what are the communication differences between him and Thiago and him and Chanot? Because I know with Glenn's pretty long interview with Chanot, he talked about how him and Callens don't speak on the field, which seems like insane from what I would consider to be one of the best, for sure top 5, top 3 center back pairs in the league. That just seems it's I don't want to compare it to us, but the first thing I thought of is when we play Rocket League. Yeah, we don't talk, and
when we do, though, we perform worse almost.
Yeah. Well, I was almost going to go the other way with it and be like, what would it be like if they did talk? Could it be much better than it is, or is that just their game?
I feel like they run off vibes. They just run off vibes, and they're, if it works for them, it works. But right now, you can see that it's a different partnership with Thiago and Callens, whether they communicate or not. If they don't, then that it's Callens initiating the no talking, and Chanot just kind of was like, well, this is my life now, I guess. Yeah. We're just gonna have to figure it out. But
do you have any feelings about, I don't know, I don't want to make anything out of it more than it should be, but do you feel like at all Chanot is beginning to take a back seat generally in our team?
I don't think he should.
Neither.
I don't think he should. I think just by force, the severity of what happened, I think it's just a time thing, where having that full confidence. But I don't even think he lacks confidence. That's the thing. He doesn't play like he lacks confidence or like he's scared or anything. So if anything, if there is some easing him back, it's all on the coaching side. It's all beyond his control, clearly. Yeah. Because he would probably just want to be out there and die out there if he had to.
Right. Well, yeah, definitely not from him. I'm just not sure if... Well, so where it comes from is we had a pretty packed schedule. I believe it was 2 weekends and 2 midweeks in a row. So you got the 4 games within 12 or 11 days, whatever it is. And for each of the... Well, at least for the Open Cup matchup, Chanot got the start in that instead of in the league games. And I think it's become apparent that Ronny, at least up until the New England point, he was not going into the game super pressed about having all the starters in. You know, we see people like Jason starting, Kevin O'Toole at left back, all these different personnel changes, and for whatever reason, Chanot was getting the starting role in the cup games versus the league games.
You know, the only theory outside of, you know, maybe just getting him that time to catch back up, you know, maybe Ronny looked at it and was like, hey, we got a run of home games. This dude's not in the form that we wanted him to be or need him to be in. So we're just going to put him to the grinder and let him figure it out. Yeah. You know, get him all the game experience that you got. Yeah, because you know that Chanot, at the end of the day, he can pop in and he's going to do...
he's a professional.
He's going to do the job. So you need to put somebody like Thiago Martins on the grinder and, you know, let him just iron that thing out and force the partnership with Callens and be like, dude, that's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. It needs to happen. That's the only theory outside of resting Chanot that I could think of.
With Thiago, I'm going to say pressure made diamonds in this case, or pressure made gold. Yeah.
Still
gold.
Sold. Not no.
What?
So like silver and gold.
Silver and gold mixed.
Combined.
Yeah.
But like more gold.
But it's working towards something, and it'll be interesting after the break with everybody, you know, fully rested up, to see, you know, where the lineup is at, because that will, you know, properly be minus GP the strongest lineup, or the you know, best players that you can offer at that time.
Castellanos.
Guy couldn't say his name.
That was the worst. It was probably a Minnesota guy.
Golden boot, and everybody would like know who you are, how to say your name.
Maybe know your name
with the what is it? Is it 7 or 8 figure? Well, maybe that's way too high. But I
have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, when a man is going to sell for 7 to 8 figures, you may want to know how to pronounce his name if you're from Minnesota.
I just had to do the math.
I can't do math. 8 figures.
Yes.
Yeah.
6.
3 6.
362.
Yep. 362.
Bang.
Which hopefully he ends up going for at some point. Hearing that.
Hopefully he doesn't.
West Ham related to visa issues or something like that. They're like losing interest. So it's gonna be interesting. I don't know, but people keep saying Leeds. I think Jack Harrison and Taty linking up is like.
That'd be crazy.
The ultimate fantasy of like an NYCFC fan. And they just got Aronson.
But they have to fire Marsh and like hire Vieira or something for the vibes, you know? Yeah. Like you can't have Marsh and
no, I can't rock with
those
Marsh.
Two guys. Like, I mean, in the sense, like, we'll put on for him because he's American and he's doing the thing out there, at least saving them in the sense. Like, they didn't really need saving. I feel like like they should have just kept Bielsa, but that's a different thing. Altogether, but I support Marsh because he's American. But it'd be way better for the vibes if
it was any other American.
If it was Vieira, if you just get Vieira in there, or imagine they like really reached and they got our first coach, Jason Kreis.
I think he's just rotting away in Orlando, or they've even moved on from him at this point.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But, I mean, talking about coaches, too, I think it was... I mean, it could have been anybody, but I think it was Chris Campbell.
Getting a lot of shout-outs in the game.
Not only getting a lot of shout-outs in the game, but I think before the game was talking about Ronny's record in games, and he actually overtook Vieira for all-time wins as a coach. But that was all competitions. I guess Vieira never got a win outside of the regular season.
Makes sense.
So Ronny, I think, is still like 5 or 6 behind from taking just the MLS regular season thing. But, you know, that's something I feel Ronny is going to end up setting, and we're just going to forget that he has the record because nobody will most likely, you know, reach whatever he ends up bringing it up to.
You know, he could be one of our first legends for the club.
Yeah. There's a few trophies or a few statues that feels like need to start being built
Ronny
in preparation
Ronny
for
in
the
his
stadium.
underwear should be a statue.
The Ronny roar.
Wherever our stadium is, that is coming.
With the trophy.
I'm fully convinced now that we actually are getting a stadium announcement, and I say this because of the sponsorship agenda that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it just I don't know. I feel like you don't just get all those sponsors for no reason.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, it may not be a brand new stadium. It may be something that we're renovating, and that's why we have to get like the HVAC and scaffolding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking genuinely the Pigeons may have found a home.
I hope so.
We may not be the New York Wanderers for long.
And there's rumors that apparently in rivalry week, which is in July, that there's some type of larger announcement. People are saying larger than the club has ever made before. And
we're signing
thinking
Chiellini.
about it. Yeah, please, God, no. Nah, that man, he's donezo though on LAFC. I swear. When we play them,
we're signing Messi.
Can you imagine Chiellini trying to keep up with Thiago?
Oh my goodness!
I mean, what do you do at that point? You just chop his legs, right?
No, we saw. You grab him by the back of the jersey, pull him back.
Yeah,
we saw that
true.
before.
And then your boy comes and starts trying to beat him up too. Yeah, that was Minnesota's plan. And Thiago gets yellowed for it, by the way.
Thiago needed to score that chance that he had in that game. I know we're kind of going all over the place at this point.
Yeah.
We're back in the game now.
That's fine.
If you're looking for a timestamp, we're back on the game now. In a game that was pretty... I mean, it was fun to watch because, Sean Johnson made a ton of saves. Mm-hmm. But, I saw some things on Twitter that we controlled a lot of the game and that we, pretty much played them off the park. I don't see how that can happen at the same time that Sean Johnson is having to stand on his head and make a ton of saves. And Minnesota definitely looked, in my opinion, to be the better team that we're actually like going forward and attacking a ton. I mean, we had our chances. But I if anything, it was a 50-50 game that we were on the good end of. I didn't feel like either team controlled it at all. Yeah,
no, I would say the same thing. We would be dead without Sean in that game for sure.
And the post.
And the post, yeah.
The post, man.
I think they had two that they hit the post on, but I don't know. I think Sean's heating up at the right time. I know he's had a interesting relationship with the men's national team. Go on.
No, you can continue. I remembered a tweet that you made during the game that later became true. Or not that game, but the game before, during the Chicago game.
Which was?
That we're going to make another average keeper a big transfer fee to a European team. And then Slonina is now linked to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Completely off base.
I mean,
but we're talking keepers, American keepers.
It's what we do best.
It's what literally waffling and absolutely having like other topic thoughts mid-topic.
But yeah, Slonina linked to Real Madrid. I think we need to start attaching sell-on clauses to these keepers because
the man
finder's
of the match,
fees, like
the
something.
man of the match trophy comes with a sell-on clause if said keeper is then sold to Europe.
Yeah, we need it.
But Sean Johnson, to be off topic, he needs to be in the consideration for 1 or 2.
Absolutely.
Or like minimum 2, 3.
Absolute minimum. I think one of the best arguments for Sean, and like I was saying, he's had a interesting relationship with Greg, and because I think it was Stefan that ended up bowing out of the camp right now, that's during the break, he called Sean up, and I think Greg did say that Sean will see playing time in this window, so that's really exciting. He said
this game's this weekend.
Yeah, I think he said Turner is going to start the first game, which, okay, I guess another child of ours that we sent to Europe.
His foot unfroze?
I think so, just in time for...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think...
he must hate the Revs if he faked...
Yeah. I was going to say, I think like the end of June it might like refreeze, though, after camp.
Until he goes to Arsenal.
Yeah. But Sean deserves it. I think the best thing that Sean has going for him is, if you're going to go and play competitive ball, you want somebody that is playing week in and week out if Sean can be doing it at his highest level, I honestly don't see any reason to start a Stefan. I don't see any reason to start a Turner. You know, these guys that are on benches. I think it's silly, like when you see the men's national team throw up posts about like all the winning Americans, and it like and they put like Stefan up there with like the Premier League trophy. It's like, I understand.
He played, but he got joked on when he did play.
Yeah, I understand. Like, you know, everybody in the locker room is a part of the team winning and stuff, and he has to be ready in case something happens to like Ederson and that stuff. But it's like,
well, he was not ready.
Yeah, and like
that's the thing.
I don't know. Just big picture, it's like, or like, do you think? I don't think Stefan like would be claiming the trophy and being like, I won this trophy. Like, doing that. But it seems like putting
the work in training every day, probably. Because you're making
that's fair.
Everyone else better too.
That's true.
And you know, playing obviously the minimum games to get the medal and everything like that. You probably do feel like you deserve it. But just his talent alone doesn't stand. I get your point that his talent alone isn't going to stand in the way of somebody who's been playing nonstop and
I'm
has
just saying,
the minutes.
If Stefan is to start 36 games in the Prem, the Man City aren't winning the trophy.
Oh,
that's all I'm saying. Not with the title race that happened between City and Liverpool. They're just not. I'll be honest. And that's an interesting
point. That's an interesting point, because I would probably back them to be in a race still. Yeah, you just have too much attacking, and you're like, every part of your team is just so good that you can afford to have a mediocre keeper, because like, how many times is it going down that side of the field?
I just feel like he has to account for at least, like, you know, a 10 goals on the season that go in when they shouldn't have, and like, how many points does that end up ultimately taking away from you? Maybe more than 10. I mean, we haven't gotten to see him
I would love to see it
in tons of volume, right?
I would love to see it.
It's really impossible to know. Maybe he comes in and they're better. Like,
I feel like Stefan in a run of games would figure it out. Kind of like when
I just don't want that figuring out to be done
for the national
in our 3 group stage games of the World Cup,
right?
At all. I don't want that. If Sean Johnson is.
The other argument, though, for that is that if we look at the beginning of last season for Sean Johnson, obviously this is a different season. He's in way better form than he was even maybe towards the end of last season.
Or at the start of the season.
Definitely the start. No, that's what I'm saying. So, like the beginning, when like the bangers were happening, when you have the talent that's at the World Cup, like it's very possible that gets very out of hand very quickly.
Yeah, it's not like Mukhtars and Zelarayans. It's your Messis and your Ronaldos of the world. Yeah,
and so we have to. That is probably the most important piece to put together, and we're not even bringing a replacement in for Holovic that just got injured.
I thought that was weird, but
you probably could have gotten a Keaton in there. You could have gotten, you know, any number of talent in there, and that person's not being replaced. I think that's just, if it's a money decision, then that's bad for us.
And I'll say this selfishly. Last talk about the World Cup for this episode is, I believe it begins November 21st, and we may be in the midst of a deep playoff run for NYCFC, and I don't know. I would assume Sean would love to get called up, even if he's the third string and he's only going to ride the bench the whole time. But I would prefer not to lose our captain and our keeper for a playoff run to go back to back. I would really prefer not to.
Either you take Keaton and Sean now, and you take them every single window until the World Cup.
Can you imagine they take Keaton?
I'm just saying, it happens now where it's never, because I don't want you to look at, you know, the World Cup and we're in a deep run and we actually need them, and then yoink them because you see that they're in good form. I don't want that, and then us to have, like, personally, selfishly, I would rather have, it's more realistic for us to win Title II than for the United States to win the World Cup in this current form.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Title II over the, you know, maybe the deep World Cup run.
The pigeons at the World Cup.
Yeah.
And realistically, from what we've seen from Greg,
we don't really. They're not needed.
There's no respect coming from Greg for Keaton, and there's seemingly no respect within the top 3 coming for Sean. So I just don't want them to be bench warmers.
They're not going to be riding time when we need them.
Yeah.
For trophy 2.
Yeah. And if they are, you know what? Next man up, Barraza can distribute his tail off for the team. And hopefully by then Callens and Thiago Martins have made, a ton of team of the weeks and don't allow shots.
The problem is if we end up with Barraza only, we're going to end up in a 5 in the back for the rest of the year.
We're going to have to see what happens.
Who knows what wingback... We're not going to get to it, but...
Who knows what wingbacks will even exist at that point.
Very quickly, I just want to say that... Jesus. Wow. We've gone far. I just wanted to say really quickly that Acevedo has been amazing. It's wild that he is the best right back at our club at the moment.
Doesn't make sense.
It's great to see an actual cross be put in and be put to a body... let alone a head. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. I love to see it. I hope he continues, and he may be that player that we need to duct tape this thing together until Tinnerholm can actually come in and play full games.
Yeah.
Which is a very far it's far away at this point.
I think he said the beginning of August is like, he might start getting some minutes.
Right. So it's going to be...
Full form Tinnerholm is far.
Think about how long it's taken Hebert.
Uh-huh.
So I don't expect Tinnerholm for a long time.
He's not the youngest guy either.
He won't even be playing full 90s until probably the playoffs.
Yeah.
So...
And I'll say this, with July coming up, the whole complexion of the team could change. I don't want to say that we're targeting a wingback. It feels like even though with all of our wingback problems, that would not be a transfer target just because of the talent that we do have when we're healthy.
Not only that, but just the duct tape is working more than enough.
Yeah.
It's almost not even duct tape. It's like super glue. I don't even know what to tell you.
Let's wrap it up with this. What position wise, with all the depth that we, suddenly have in NYCFC 2, do you think is most needed for like the first team? If we were to target a position to make a transfer, let's say we get a bunch of Taty bucks, although that kind of messes the equation up because then we're thinking about replacing Taty. But I guess if Taty stays, what do we want? And if Taty goes, we obviously want a striker.
I feel like there's not much that we need.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a true all-out like defensive midfielder, because we have guys that can play there, but that are not
outstanding.
They're not outstanding defensive midfielders. I would say like a standout defensive midfielder.
And sometimes they're forced to play right back.
I don't see Keaton as that. I see him more of like a box-to-box, just all-out midfielder. Mm-hmm. So I would see like a James Sands. Like literally, I would spend money to get James Sands back.
Yeah.
But just having a true defensive midfielder, would do us wonders in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I'm totally on board with that. I think as long as Taty doesn't go, then we.
But even with Taty going, it's like we've got the attacking players to fill that for a season.
Yeah, I get a little concerned with the boys. They have a case of the missing the tap-ins for sure. Tala's for sure, who I think is really the front runner in this Taty replacement conversation.
He will be the replacement.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll purchase.
No,
I think it's gonna be Tala's in like academy boys.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he says he wants to play number 9, so he's gonna get his chance.
Yeah.
Once Taty, inevitably breaks all of our hearts.
Yeah.
And people around him, please let him know. Remind him that he's breaking our hearts when he leaves.
We got to get picture and autographs before he goes, 100% on this thing. And then pictures with him. But yeah, that's just stuff to look forward to. I mean, we are deep. I was going to say like a month away from that transfer window opening, so it's going to be an interesting. I mean, whatever happens. But we have a strong team right now, so whatever reinforcements we can get if we need them would be great.
Absolutely.
And not only looking forward to that as fans of the club, but, you know, anybody within the community or that are fans of us. We obviously talked about it at the end of last episode too, and maybe we should start talking about this at the start so more people hear it. But we have big plans with some recordings not scheduled yet, but
summer heat.
We have, you know, unofficial conversations that we've had with people that we're bringing on the show, and we're just, you know, fleshing out when we want to have everybody on. So there will be a run of the back-to-back guests with, you know, tons of conversations, hopefully talking about, you know, potentially a new signing or what we do now that Taty departed, or, you know, whatever form the club is in, and getting some men's national team talking, because, you know, guys like Michael Allen love that.
Yeah, and there's going to be a time where that's really all the content that we're going to be able to consume. There's going to be international breaks and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and when that World Cup starts, I mean, it's going to be a frenzy. So stay tuned for all that. We'll obviously keep you guys updated, like Justin mentioned at the beginning of the episode, at Post90Pod on Twitter. That is, you know, your main spot for all news about us, and we try to stay up to date with NYCFC stuff too, and everybody in the community. So
yeah,
follow us there.
And nobody claimed the 100 subscriber sticker.
Yeah.
On YouTube. So that means if you've gotten to this point, just say you're here, and you'll get a sticker, I guess.
Yeah. We'll connect with you one way or another, whether it's,
if you're listening at this point, you're a real one, so let us know and we'll get you a sticker.
Yeah, if you go to games, we'll hook it up there at one, or I'll ship it to you. I really don't care.
Or if you want to show up just outside of the stadium, we'll just be there.
I thought you were gonna say outside of the house.
Or we can do like a scavenger hunt in New York City, like just place one somewhere random and be like, here's your sticker.
Different.
But all right,
that's
anyways,
it.
It's sleepy
that's
time.
Episode 67.
Thank you guys for watching.
Catch you, I'll say, after the break for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. After the first game after the break.
So much content here. I feel like we're good for a little bit.
We're good.
But yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Peace.